Hello. So today the Indian motorcycle demo truck was here in San Diego, so I paid him a visit. So this is the Indian motorcycle dealer, and I was able to ride a couple of bikes. Rode the Chief Vintage, and then I also rode the Scout, which is the standard one, not the Scout 60. So rode both those, and then I decided to do a comparison because I had ridden the harley-davidson 48, which is kind of a competitor to the Scout, to the Sportster lineup, really, to the Scout lineup. And BMW has the R nineT, another kind of retro bike, twin, just a boxer twin rather than V-twin. Kind of similar price points, more or less. Some of the R nineTs go up quite a bit more than any of the Sportsters or the Scouts, but I decided to go, after the Indian demo truck, I decided to go over to the BMW motorcycle dealer because they also allow test rides, and I rode the R nineT Urban GS, which is kind of a more like raised up and all-terrain look. Not necessarily an off-road bike, but not necessarily just a roadster either. So I rode that one, and here's the conclusions that I drew from it. Basically, I'll put on some of the riding videos on there as well. I had some commentary going in audio, but I was actually using this microphone here, but there was too much wind. I didn't have sufficient wind protection for it, so that audio is basically unusable. Sorry about that. So what I thought about the Indian Scout was, it's a good bike. It's really fast, powerful, forward controls, very laid back, low to the ground, easy to maneuver with your feet. I have about a 30 to 31 inch inseam, and I'm used to low bikes. It's one of them. It's not a problem there at all. So the forward controls, nothing's in your way of your feet when you're moving the bike around, and then you can just kind of manhandle it if you need to. It weighs, I think, under 600 pounds, which is great. Kind of around the same weight as the Sportster. It's got an aluminum frame, aluminum engine parts and stuff like that, so it's supposed to be pretty light, but also pretty stiff. I found it to be pretty twitchy when I was riding it. Definitely a responsive engine, even when you're already going 75 or 80 miles an hour on the highway. There's still plenty of room to go ahead and pass people, which is great. I didn't actually get a chance to take that Harley 48 up to that speed. When I was wearing it, when I was riding it, actually wasn't wearing a helmet at the time. It was not in a state where you have to wear a helmet, so the wind was kind of limiting factor. I didn't really go much over like 60. There was no reason to. The speed limit was 60 at the time too. So the Harley 48 versus the Scout, the Harley has a lot more character, I think. The engine has a lot of mechanical noise on the Harley, whereas in the Indian there's very little mechanical noise, very little exhaust noise at speed, but exhaust noise note is the same. They're all very low volume these days because of regulations and stuff like that. So the Harleys are the same, very quiet on the highway, but a lot of mechanical noise from the Sportster. Less so from the bigger bikes, the Milwaukee 8, but that's a story for another day. Okay, so the Indian and the Harley versus the BMW R nineT from what I gathered from riding it. Now the R nineT is really it feels like a high bike with a short wheelbase, so it's twitchy as well, but it's more stable, a lot more stable feeling than the Indian, in my opinion. Even though it's shorter, I think it's shorter. You set up kind of high, but there's a steering damper, and just the way that the suspension is set up and just the geometry, it just feels more stable, more confidence inspiring. It also, when you shift into second and third gears, like the front end wants to come up, good amount of torque. I really do enjoy the engine sound, the exhaust note from the R nineT. There's not much mechanical noise that I could tell from the engine itself. The exhaust is a bit louder on the R nineT stock, I would assume, louder than the Indian, maybe about the same noise as the 48, about the same volume level, maybe a little higher, maybe a little louder, yeah. But fit and finish, they're all pretty nice. They're premium motorcycles. They're kind of entry level for each of the brands. Not necessarily entry level for the BMW, but since BMW really specializes in big adventure bikes and big touring bikes, their R9T lineup is actually entry level for that. Although it is a 1200cc engine, kind of like they use in a lot of the touring and adventure bikes. It's just the rest of the bike is cheaper, so the whole package is cheaper. All of those bikes vibrate quite a bit, but I think the Indian was the worst, tied with the BMW. The Harley, the vibration kind of goes, it's a different kind of vibration when you're on the highway versus, they shake quite a bit when they're stopped. The Harley does. The other ones don't really shake. They kind of vibrate when they're stopped, but I thought that on the road the vibrations coming from the Indian were just unpleasant, as well as like the seating position was a little bit unpleasant for me too. I wasn't crazy about the comfort of it. I rode it for about 20 minutes and I wouldn't have wanted to ride it for a whole lot longer. The same actually went for the cheap vintage. The vibrations were just too much. The 111 engine, it's pretty cool, but it's so big and it's a beautiful, just fantastic, beautiful engine. The sound was alright. I'm sure it sounds better with some pipes, but it doesn't sound as good as the Harley big V-twins. Subjective. BMW looks really awesome. The Urban GS, yeah, it's just a cool style. I liked it. I like the way it rides. The suspension, it turns in real nicely. The clutch engagement, it's a little weird. There's not much low end torque, so you kind of have to rev it up, and then the clutch is like out there near the front, like you've barely pulled it in. I'm not quite used to that. I'm used to it being closer to the grip. And yeah, it's got heated grips. The Urban GS got heated grips, so I was able to test that out and see if that helped any with the numbness in my hand. No joke, numbness after that 20-minute ride. I got numbness from all three of the bikes I test rode today, both the Indians and the BMW. I did not encounter that after riding the 48 for a few hours. So that's worth noting. I do get numbness and discomfort from riding my Yamaha V-Star 1100, which it's a 2002 model and it's got 73,000 miles on it. Not a new bike by any means. Not sure how it performed vibration wise when it was brand new. The newer Harleys that I've ridden are very smooth at highway speeds. Even the big twins. The Sportsters have more vibration, but it's not necessarily the kind that makes your hand go numb in my experience. So that's worth saying, worth considering if you are someone who's susceptible to such vibrations. The price point. You can get a Harley with the 1200 engine for about $10,000. The Iron 1200. The Indian with the 1200, I think it goes for like 11 something MSRP, but I'm sure you can get one on sale. The Indian Scout 60, smaller engine. It's 10 grand minus whatever discounts they put on it, which I'm sure there are some. The BMWs are priced a little more premium. I think the R9T Pure is like around 11K, something like that, maybe 12. And the R9T with the billet aluminum package that I saw in the dealership was like 20,000. 20,000 is kind of outrageous. You can get a big V-twin touring bike for that if that's your thing. You can get basically bare bones, freaking BMW S1000 RR if you want that, or various other BMWs that offer a lot more than just that R9T with a lot of like luxury parts. But some people are just made of money, so I'm sure they'll sell some. Shoot, you could get a Kawasaki H2SX for not much more, and that's a bike. Alright, so which one would I buy? The Indian Scout, the Harley 48, or the R9T Urban GS? Because those are the ones I've ridden now. Out of the three, I would buy the Harley, even though it's very compromised motorcycle. It's only got a 2.2 gallon tank. There's almost no technology. Very agricultural, but it's cool. Cooler than the others. Now I can't say that I would buy a Harley over any other competitor, but out of those other two, yeah, in that segment, retro bike that does not need to be used for touring or racing, that's the cross-shopping criteria, really. That they fit the same need in the motorcycling world, those three bikes. Now for a bonus, a bike that's basically in the same neighborhood price-wise, but has a lot more performance without the retro aspect, is going to be the Triumph Street Triple series. I rode the Street Triple RS, which is, their higher priced model. It's about 13, but the Street Triple itself has the same engine, the 765cc triple. It just doesn't have quite as many suspension upgrades or electronic upgrades. That is a heck of a bike. That RS, I found the ride very firm, so there's that. The seat's also firm. It's worth noting the seat on all three of the other bikes are very, very comfortable, cushy suspensions, fairly soft. The Harley has the worst suspension. If you're going to be riding over bumpy roads, it's going to suck. The Indian is pretty good. The BMW is excellent. Suspension soaks up most of the bumps. Just very comfortable ride. But that Street Triple RS, quite a bit more horsepower, a lot more technology. It's got that excellent LCD screen, ride modes, traction control, ABS. The Indian does have ABS, as does the BMW. BMW has heated grips, but that's something you can add to any motorcycle with the aftermarket. Riding modes and excellent fancy ABS are not necessarily something you can add. So if you don't need the retro bike, but you want to get something very high quality, that Street Triple RS is also basically a naked bike. Has just a little fairing like some of the others do, but it offers you a lot more performance for the money. And it's a Triumph, so the Triumph has some retro appeal just because of the name. Now I understand they do make other retro bikes. I just haven't ridden them, so I'm not going to speak on them if I haven't ridden them. Also, bikes I haven't ridden but maybe cross-shopped is the Z900 RS and the Z900 RS Cafe from Kawasaki. I love both of those bikes. I really wish I could get a chance to ride them. I love to just fawn over them and sit on them every chance I get. They're just beautiful machines. Some people, after riding them, don't feel it's worth the price upgrade from the Z900. That's understandable. It is quite a bit of a price difference. And the Z900 is an excellent value. Not ridden that one either. I've ridden the Z650. I hope to ride the Z900 soon, if not the RS or the RS Cafe. Honda CB1000 R, the new one. It's a bit of a kind of a neo-retro styled motorcycle. It's a 1000cc 4-cylinder, so that should offer excellent performance. And it's going to kind of be in the same price range, might be a little bit higher. There are just so many great motorcycles out there. You just have to choose what's important to you. But out of the three, I don't have riding footage of it at this time, but between the Indian, Scout, the BMW RnineT, and the Harley Sportster lineup, I'd go with the Harley, just personally. But anyway, let me know if there's anything you want to see videos about. I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching.